I say, whoa, now y'all, what's happening with it, world? Coming through with a Monday, I guess late afternoon, early evening live. Uh, and I'm gonna hop right into it. A little press for time. Um, this is how legalism stops the curtailing of doing what's right and just free independent thought outside of a group dynamic. Relating it to scripture or anything spiritual. Now I see why the religious organization of the time was mad with Yeshua for healing people on the Sabbath. When in the scripture talk about, okay, I get the letter of the law, right? But say, and I paraphrasing, they say if your oxen fall into the ditch, which you're not gonna get it because it's on the Sabbath, right? So I said all that to say this, right? So I come to work today, right? Now, Thursday, Friday, get my days mixed up. Time seemed to be speeding up. Individual relapses. I come in a little later because we stay open a little later. So upon me arriving at work, we're going to get this guy and we're going to take him approximately an hour and some change to a rehab so we can get us up together. You know what I mean? No judgment, right? So this particular woman is facilitating because she is or she's, I don't even know what she is, but she's getting this guy out of this particular recovery housing, right? Appreciate everybody being here, right? So I say, okay, I get the word. I'm in the field. You know what I mean? Radio back to home base. Hey, Miss Pearl, what's happening with it? Radio back to home base to say he's gonna meet you at the Wawa. I get to the Wawa, he not there. So I radio back. Where is he at? He's leaving the residence. But as I'm thinking this, I'm like, why not just go to the residence and transport him? So I pick him up on the side of the road. We get gone. So I'm like, yo, cuz, where your stuff at, bruh? Oh, they said I had to hurry up and meet you and da da da. They'll do whatever with my stuff. So I'm like, okay. Now I work with this guy personally, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna take it upon myself. Now I believe it would be a Friday. So call the appropriate authorities or whatever, and we'll get you your stuff somehow, some way. Don't worry about that. And I'm gonna do it because it's happening to me, messing with these jack leg rehabs, whatever you want to call it, right? So upon coming to work Monday, I have an inside connect to the institution he works at because after we got the man gone, the woman who facilitated him getting discharged isn't answering any of our phone calls. Now I work with the state, so the only time she contacts us is if it has to do with money and getting the state funding, right? So I come in, boom, I hit my mind up. So I'm like, yo, what we gonna do with cuz stuff? He basically say, it ain't our problem. I'm like, how is it not your problem? And his stuff is still residing at your property. So he start hitting me, and I'm not taking it personal with him, because he's just facilitating the rhetoric that's coming from the top, right? So he said, when they come in, they sign a particular paper and they got 3 days to get their stuff and da da da. Okay, that's the letter of the law. I get that. But in light of the circumstances, how's the man gonna get his stuff if he's in rehab? And he was pressed to get out. That's why he couldn't bring his stuff, and I'm the one transporting. So what are we gonna do about this here? He was like, well, you can go get it and da da da. Well, I'm gonna have to go get it, not because I'm obligated to, but because it's the right thing to do. You understand me? But I'm totally blown away by the lack of care and empathy for someone who you just made a boatload of money off of. And we notice this in, let's say, and I've talked about this in institutional narcissism, where if you're not beneficial to me, I don't want nothing to do with you, even if you've been beneficial to me for a period of time. As soon as that is gone for whatever circumstantial reason, I don't know you no more. This is insane, right? So then I call to where he's at, but I'm not on his releases, so I can't get said information. And I understand it because of HIPAA and whatnot. But off the record, could you send him a message to let him know I will be getting his stuff? Now, what I'm gonna have to do because of my work hours, I'm gonna have to go drive personally in my personal vehicle on my own personal time to drop the man's stuff off. Not that I'm looking for any kind of pat on the back. It's just the right thing to do because the people in power don't do right. Everyone is just using each other at this point. And what I'm really blown away by, and I've talked to, there was an individual who I use as a reference to get where I'm at now. And before I understood the inner workings of this, hey, what's up, Ferris Bless? What's going on? And again, Miss Pearl, this happened to be personal, and I see how it can make people without a spiritual foundation lose hope. Because say, okay, I need help in whatever capacity. I find out who the help is, right? And then come to find that the help is more detrimental than what I was dealing with previously. And we're seeing this now in the mental health hospitals, church house. They're harvesting you, and either one or two things happen. Based on how they assess you and see your character, they either bring you along if they feel like you'll go along to get along. But if you have your own goals, dreams, aspirations, or a different type of calling, once you have your own independent thoughts or ideas, or you voice your concerns, you're blackballed and ousted with no support. And typically what they attempt to do, because it's happened to me multiple times, that's how I'm well versed in this, they'll actually do it in a way to, I guess, hinder you going forward without them. If you leave your local church in the one of these Hebrew Israelite camps, you don't get to, or gang, you don't get to just leave and they're like, all right, cuz, man's good on you, you know what I mean? Boom. No, they tear your name up. They blame it on you. Or what I'm saying, they absolve themselves of any responsibility in the situation, even though you were just a part of their organization. And I see how the love of many is waxing cold. So in this respect, I'm going to have to do what's right because I gave the man my word. Now I'm getting kind of blocked because of HIPAA laws, and I'm very confident it'll get worked out right as I talk to the other institution and entity. However, yeah, I'll cover that, Farah. She says they have, I can't even pronounce words now. Well, I ain't even gonna try. How about that, right? And here's what I'm noticing, right? Now, among common folk, like Paul said, I become all things to all men. My name, and one, he prepared me to do what I'm doing now years ago, 4 years, in the very same thing I'm talking about. So I know how I feel. I know how I feel to be let down, or for institutions to tell you, like my child support, I'm still fighting with them, to tell you one thing, you hold on to what they said, and then they say they ain't say that, and then they get aggressive with you and act like you doing them wrong. Man, that's why I like not to deal with the people of the world. And even if they have an air of, let's say, Christianity or Muslim or whatever, like we see with the Muslim folk, typically in the black community, they'll hold to the letter of the law. They won't eat pork and they'll pray 5 times a day. But outside doing that, like Paul said, they have no love in their heart, have a general disagreement with one of them. It's wartime now. You know what I'm saying? It's like I routinely, like I got homies of different spiritual inklings, vocation, so on and so forth. But the commonality is mutual respect, and we're all trying to walk this thing out of the same growth, you know. Oh, just the spiritual principle, honest, open-minded, humility, you know what I mean? But then you have your Pharisees and Sadducees of the world who will hold to the letter of the law concerning you, but then won't apply it to themselves when it concerns them. Case in point, I so happen to click on a live from, as I used to call him, Genghis Khan, the Ringo man, right? And he makes a video about New Breed being demonic or warlock or whatever. And he's using scripture to say this man is a warlock, right? Based on whatever he said in his last video, which I did watch, right? But then this is coming from a man who said R. Kelly's a G. You are not qualified to tell somebody they're demonic. You know what I mean? We have wrongdoers attempting to rewrite what's right based on if they want to do it or not. So if it's not a camera involved or nobody sees me so I can get a pat on the back, I'm not going to do right by you. What do I get out of it? I don't get nothing out of it other than the fact I did right by myself and someone who I had to deal with. You know what I mean? Now, it'd be easy for me to say, oh, well, I can't do it, da-da-da. But now my spirit won't allow me to do that. That's why among common folk, and I had to do outreach today in the hood, right? So I took it upon myself, and this ain't for no glorification purpose, because we ain't got a whole lot to give. So I found some hygiene bags, condoms. I went down to the local hood store, bought some Arizona teas, and passed it out to the homies that I seen out there when I touched down, just to show love. You know what I mean? I wish I could, I wish I had my own institution or the ability to shoulder your burden till you get stronger. But as it currently stands, that's not the case. But I'm not rich, but what I do got, I freely give to you. Because when I'm doing it, I can imagine myself when I was on somebody's park bench looking crisp because I've been in the sun all day or lacking hope. I'm so bewildered, I can't even come up with a plan because I'm just trying to survive for the day. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's right, but I ain't gonna say I pray, but I yearn to see the day when the high and mighty fall off their high horse. And oh, it's going to be bad because they have no spiritual principle to fall back on. No different than, let's say, the Christianized pastor who preached the word all day, but it's not in him. And from my perspective in life journey, it got forced in me by life circumstance that the Most High knew would refine me into this. You see what I'm saying? So even if, I gotta do whatever and it's uncomfortable or I'd rather do something else, when I get done doing that, at least I know I did right. You know what I'm saying? I help because I don't know what that man's journey is. Me just doing that little bit of something. Oh man, the Toothless Wonder was the one dude that ain't lied to. He went out his way to get me my stuff. I ironed some change away. That might be just enough because he would give me before breakthrough, which was years later, he would give me just enough to keep going. And if I messed up, he wouldn't let any other door open, but to start the same curriculum over again and go through it. And this time I just went through it. I dealt with the bamboozler. That's why I started the Bamboozle Again News Network. I dealt with the fraud perpetrator. That's how I'm able to identify what I like to label different spirits organizations. Like in the Negro community, you got the Zesty Brother, who they, kind of esteem and kind of put in the public light, for image purposes. Then you got the Bully Coon Negro, who get tough with other Negroes, but he's still subservient to the man. You know what I mean? Well, what's going on with the CEO, Ken? Oh, channel update. And you might have seen on my post, I got my Bamboozled Again shirts coming out. Woo! Shout out to my man Blue Hundo for printing that thing up for me off the love. Yes, sir. And I'm turning this because I like to wage what I like to call social guerrilla warfare. Now, I'm not going to attack someone physically or anything like that, but I'm going to stand for something so 10 toes down, I don't have to necessarily call you out. The fact that I'm doing this over here single-handedly by the grace of the Most High will make everybody look at y'all and be like, what is y'all doing over there? You understand? Hey, what's going on, Brandon Hunter? Farrah says the moral decay is to the point where, now I don't deal with the world, but it's so flabbergasting. It makes me, one, see the necessity to come out from the world as we see the illusions dissipating. And two, it creates, one, a gratitude of him pulling, almost like Paul when I got hit by the car and broke my neck. That was my proverbial road to Damascus. And it started, a deconstruction to build me on a solid foundation. So I routinely stand on what's right, even if it caused me personal detriment. Whom do I plead? Man or Elohim? I'm gone are the days of people's opinions and all this type of stuff. My only concern, for the most part, is how the Most High viewed me in whatever situation that he walked me through. You know what I'm saying? And let the chips fall where they may. I'm one of them brothers, be totally honest with you. I want to do so much right, they put me in jail. The last time I was locked, and I say stuff as a joke, and it be coming true, or I just have an unorthodox way of saying it. I said, the last time I was locked up, which was, I don't know, over 20-some years ago, I was like 25 or something. I said, the next time I go to jail, I'm going to be a political prisoner. Paul, the disciple, and I'm trying to become more disciple-like with the sanctification of the Holy Spirit, where there's no deterrent. Oh, we'll take everything from you. Take it. I was just a steward to have at the time. Elohim give it, Elohim take it away. I don't care. There's nothing you can, like, you can't bribe me. You know what I'm saying? I got a little financial stuff, but you can't bribe me because I don't want that money like that. Because my conscience gonna tell me. And after all the yin yang I taught, I get all the way down the road and sell out for filthy lucre's sake. After me calling out all the sellouts, then I refuse to be or become just like the people who I claim to expose. You know what I'm saying? Case in point, one of my favorite shows back in the day was the Spartacus joint that used to come on Stars. So the slaves had caught some of these Roman aristocrats, right? So Spartacus somewhere else. When he come back to the headquarters or whatever, they're discussing, like, are they going to torture him, grape him, whatever. He said, whoa, now, what is y'all doing? They was like, they've afflicted us and did this, that, and the third, to whoop, whoop, and they made a compelling argument. He said, yeah, I know. But if we do to them what they've done to us, we become just like them. and we lose the moral high ground. You can't fight somebody and operate in tactics where you're becoming just like them. Because then can't nobody tell who's who. You know what I'm saying? And I've had to learn that with, court hearings and custody and so on and so, where I'm tempted. And I kind of know these people. So their vulnerabilities and mental makeup is air apparent to me, right? But then I would get these words, or I get a message, or I'd read it somewhere where I can't repay evil for evil. And it's the Most High who fight my battles. I'm like, all right, I still want to do it, but I'm not. I'm gonna let you handle this. I don't like it, but it ain't about me like it's about me doing it. As the brothers say, at this point, I'm down by law. And it's not because I'm down by law because I'm so, I got formed into this. And it took me a while to get to this point because I always wanted to have veto power over who I became. And I'm in Galatians, that's why I keep using Paul as a reference. When he said, if I boast in anything, and he used to be high and mighty in society and have, status and so on and so forth. He said, if I boast in anything, I'll boast in my infirmities. So in reference to what I'm attempting to facilitate with the guy who, I end up transporting, it's because I've been in the same situation. I can empathize. I remember when they lied to me and did this to me and used my money and defrauded me and, all that type of stuff. So I'm going to get her done. You know what I'm saying? And that's that. Because how can I claim to care, but then not show it if it requires me doing something I don't want to do? You see what I'm saying? Now, of course, we all, have our faults, shortcomings, defects of character. However, even with that being said, like I forgot what's probably, it's like I got to do it. I got to do it. Even if I don't want to do it, I still got to do it because it need to be done. And I'm not doing, and I'm talking about it on here, but it's not because I want to say, hey, I was so great, I helped the guy when nobody else would, or da da da. It ain't about that. It's about doing what's right in secret. And I'm just sharing this with y'all. And let the Most High, whenever he feel like it, reward me openly. You know what I'm saying? Which I've been rewarded up until this point. Because outside of, I work here, and there's a small group of us that work here. But I've called out former jobs, the bamboozlers here in my town. I'm ready to step the game, the awareness up with a movement, with some t-shirts, hats. You know what I mean? Because I want to, there shouldn't be any, how would I word it? There can't be any kind of likeness. You know what I'm saying? If me, okay, let's say we're, Yeshua, right? And we're standing next to whoever. You should be able to tell the difference. Something different about him. But now you can't tell who's who because everybody has the same belief system or operating program, whether they be spiritual lens, church house. Everyone's playing chameleon or cosplaying, but as I believe Farrah said, their character and their souls are eroding expeditiously on a daily basis. Now, what I'm talking about will be one thing, and then hop on a video, let's say 2-3 days from now, and what I'm talking about now is blown away. Whether it be what we're seeing in modern dating, you know what I mean? Even, and I know I talk about the women, but even what the men are saying is kind of like, and I get it, it's a counter tactic to push back against maybe a system that's kind of oppressed, but even what they're saying ain't gonna work. It might keep you safe to some degree from legally or getting bamboozled, but that ain't the course of action. So here in Babylon, what we end up doing is they come up with a man-made problem, like single parenthood. They had to make that term up for something that typically doesn't exist in mass in society. You know what I mean? Co-parenting, things of that nature. So then the byproduct of that is more negative outcomes. So then we come up with our own human wisdom, which Yeshua will do away with, as I see the reason why, to keep ourselves safe or put ourselves in the best position possible. But none of it solves the problem. If the problem requires a level of humility, a level of looking at the big picture versus myself, and I get it, we can't do it. Like, okay, we want to talk about the community. Well, what's up, brother Rob? What's happening with it, baby? We talk about the community. But the fundamental component that emanates from our issues in the community is the destruction of the black family. Now, have they done certain things agenda-wise? Yeah. But now they don't necessarily have to roll it like that because they've been planted and programmed into it so much so it operates on autopilot. So we can fix, let's say, 70, 80% of the issues in the black community if the male and the female, put their issues away and come together. That's why we see all this discord being thrown about. Even in, let's say, the FBA versus, Haitian, Hispanic, so on and so forth. They're causing division so that we don't come together because we have a similar plight, maybe different cultures, maybe we emanate from different places, but our experiences have been the same. So, like, I think Paul was saying, like, after I leave, I'm paraphrasing, wolves will come in to show damnable heresies. You know what I'm saying? But we're all fighting to appease a system that's crumbling instead of coming together, comparing notes, putting away, minuscule issues and arguments to come together because we have more in common than the people who are trying to instigate us being enemies. You see what I'm saying? Farrah says we can choose to go against the system. In mass, it probably won't happen. I think very theoretically, right? But I'm going against the system now by not operating in its values and belief system. You know what I mean? Now, I do it in wisdom, but this ain't all about me. You know what I'm saying? Now, I try to protect my peace, so on and so forth, not get bamboozled. But what I believe is in my heart is greater than myself. To serve to the Most High. And when we get called, chosen to serve the Most High, that's what it is, service. It ain't about me. It's about esteeming him. Forget me. Just give me my daily bread. I'm thankful that I'm at this point. You really ain't got to do nothing else for the kid. It'd be nice, to do, you know what I mean? And as an obedient servant, as I attempt to be, I'm not even worried about when you choose to do certain things or if at all. Because to be totally honest, instead of making a live YouTube video, I should be a tombstone at best. Or just like the very same people who I'm attempting to reach out to. So it ain't no, oh, I'm up here or down here. I remember when I was that person. But by his grace and mercy, that should be my middle name, grace, mercy, and protection. I've been afforded through obedience and not knowing and trying to walk by faith to this position now to be able to help the same individuals or demographic of individuals that I emerged out of. Versus what I'm saying here where I work at, people, let's say, because I got a recovering addict story, addiction, so on and so forth, where I get ingratiated into some type of social grouping, and then I exploit the same people who I once used to be. No, sir, not the kid. No, that ain't nothing I can tell the grandkid or, you know what I mean? No, man. No, man. I'm gonna get me one of them new breed shirts say not for sale. Nah. Whatever happened to wanting to go out like a G, yo? Now I ain't saying, just go, whatever. But, they say if a man had nothing to live for, or if he doesn't have a cause for which he's willing to unalive for, he not fit to live. Now we're scared to live, scared to unalive, nobody standing on anything. It's supposed to be principles over personality. But now it's more personality over principle. So we don't defend what's right, we defend who we like. You know what I mean? Even in my efforts, when I talked about people stealing my money in Baltimore, which is rampant, you know what I mean? They won't allude to it because they hang with the people. You know what I mean? First says, y'all will be done. That's all I'm concerned with. Now do I have longings and desire? Yeah. And that's what I've grown into. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, yeah. Because how we say the Lord's Prayer, say it all day long. But then the application is hitting me, coming out of my own thinking and understanding. You know what I'm saying? Or how's it said in the word? Because I got plenty of plans, right? And he's dealt with me as far as this. In the one scripture where it say, we'll go to this town for a year and make X amount of money if it's Yah's will. You know what I mean? Because I've tried to leave here, but it hasn't been permitted. So I not gave up on it, but I've accepted his sovereign will for my life. And technically, if I can't submit my own will, desire, so on and so forth, I can't be used. You know what I'm saying? I got you. I done got you all your life. You know what I'm saying? It's just what I want to do and justifying it. And the crafty part about it is it seemed noble. You know what I'm saying? But it just, and just as Paul said, and I'm on this Paul tip, just fighting a good fight. You know what I mean? He said I'm about to be poured out like a drink offering. But he's basically saying I got a clear conscience. You know, he'd have been shipwrecked, he'd have been stoned, and Most High brought him back to life. You know, he got persecuted by the organization that used to have him persecuting other people. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and they ran afoul of them on that one when he healed some or raised somebody from the dead on the Sabbath. So you're holding so well to the letter of the law instead of doing what's right. So I raised them. What about that part? Even in my child support case, right? Well, the paying of it, right? Um, so I went to talk to the free lawyer man at the courthouse, and he just pops up my case. I'm like, oh, they couldn't do that. He said they reissued your child support without a court order. And I've dealt with this where they'll tell me do one thing, I do it to the letter, and then they just move the goalpost. But I'm like, y'all told me this. Yeah, but well, technically, and give you a bunch of word salad, right? And what they're doing is they're absolving themselves of any wrongdoing, because come to find out, they did something without a court order. And I ain't get all frustrated about it. If this is what I'm forced to, it's an inconvenience. But if this one, then I'll just go through because it's going through the life situations that has created the character, that has created the knowledge of my sovereign dependence on the Most High. Yeah. And since I know that, I'm not tempted to do certain stuff because I know I'm held to a higher standard, and if I step out of bounds, he gonna get jiggy with me real quick. You know, the wicked get to get away with wickedness forever, not the kid. Not after all the grace and mercy he done shown me. No, that ain't finna happen. They say Bill Belichick. Now Tom Brady is arguably the best player as far as accomplishments in the NFL history, right? But they said Bill Belichick, his coach, was harder on him than anybody else because you the one set the example. You know better. Based on how you flow, everybody gonna flow underneath. So I can't cut you no slack. Actually, I got to be harder on you. There's a greater standard on you. And I gotta not remember that, but be mindful of it as I conduct myself in this world that is ever increasingly through spiritual warfare, the love of many waxing cold, people being truce breakers, and no empathy, and having unbalanced scales in business, and so on and so forth. I ain't finna do none of that to get ahead, and if I gotta do it to get ahead, it ain't meant for me to get ahead. You know what I mean? It's real in the battlefield, and I come with personal like testimonies because I see it every day in just random circumstances. So lately I've been on this social observation tip from a spiritual perspective. Nobody, here's another thing with legalism. Nobody can think outside of the group construct. Nobody has any independent thoughts. It's a herd mentality. So when I'm talking to the brother that I know personally, who now works for this organization, he's defending the people and giving them the benefit of the doubt. When based on where I work at, this person has done, the head woman has done, because I have to help the people that she's effing over. You know what I mean? And what I'm noticing is when you ingratiate yourself into these people, you got two options. Three. You can either get gone and then they're going to tear your name up. You can stay to prop yourself up in the social grouping, and whatever morals and principles you once had will be quickly eroded. Or they'll funnel you up because they see you have some common traits that you'll be just like them. Marty Marsh said, before I sell out, I get the hell out. And on that note, I'm going to holler at y'all. One love. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Brother Ralph, Sister Farrah, Brandy Hunter, always a pleasure. CEO King, my main man. Lilac Drink. Appreciate the compliment, Lilac Dreams, if you still here. And Miss Pearl's always, one love, keep your head up. I'm signing off. Ooh,